The regular season is ending. It's ending after this game. London versus Bulldog. And as sad as I am, there is a lot on the line. So if London win, Eminem cheer. If Bulldog win, no, not Barrage. Who cheers? Enclave. No.
Bulldog make it into playoffs if they
Bulldog cheer. If Bulldog win, Bulldog cheer.
Let me sum up the stakes of this game for Bulldog. As London, they've already secured second place. There's nothing on the line for them. If Bulldog lose, they drop to relegations. If Bulldog win, they make it into playoffs. There is no bigger staked single best of one game than a game like this. It's not just you miss out on playoffs. It's you miss out on playoffs and you drop to relegation. So for Bulldog, this is going to be a tense one. London, they don't have anything to play for. So if there was ever a better time to be playing London, it is technically right now. But at the same time, they may still feel prideful in securing as best a final record in the regular split as possible. I don't expect them to just hand this win over to Bulldog.
No, I think the smart play is not to hand the I think the honourable play is not to hand it over. This is honestly for Bulldog. I don't think there's been a game with higher stakes in a long time in competitive. In the sense that we have relegation or playoffs. There is no middle ground. There is no ifs or buts. It is full stops.
I do not think there has been a single best of one round robin in the UKLC, at least from my memory in the last few years, that has held higher stakes for one individual team.
Yeah. It's literally best or worst case scenario. That's literally the two outcomes of this. It's a game. Let's talk about what's being banned away. The Kaiser and the Rel so far have been banned away. Expect to see that Udyr once again. The Gragas could rear its head as well in the ban phase.
Yeah,
see where we're going to go with that.
Especially into London, it's a very viable ban. PFI, of course, one of the few junglers, the only jungler I believe, to actually run the Gragas jungle here. So we're going to see Udyr removed away. Seems like a staple red side ban. And I suppose just, playing time to see whether London themselves will remove it away, but realistically, they're not going to. They're going to go for another standard ban. Potentially, I mean, they have no obligation to remove away the Thresh, though it has been a very common blue side ban today. You could see maybe a Senna ban away if they don't want to first pick it themselves. With the Kai'Sa gone, they're under no obligation. So the Seraphine honestly slots into that spot far more comfortably. And for Bulldog now, it seems like it's going to be the Gragas. So if you're London, I feel like you might just send a first pick unless you have something you care about more.
Yeah, got the Hecarim as well if they want to go something.
You do have the Hecarim, yeah. But I think that Senna remains currently the best open AD carry available.
Yeah.
On the patch, so it kind of screams out to me as the lock-in, and that is going to be the case. So now Bulldog going to have to respond to this into this pretty oppressive lane. You have to also think about the looming threat of a potential Hecarim and another diving component of a composition for London as well. So let's see what the response is. They do have a pretty wide array of champions.
You could technically sack jungle AD carry and lock like a Camille Galio in.
Yeah, you could.
Either team could do that right now. It's going to be the Tristana lock-in for UC. Seen a lot of people kind of go back to the Tristana as of late, moving away once these kind of top tier carries are picked. Tristana seems to be the pickup that people seem to opt into. And now, question to see what Bulldog want to go for here. Do they want to lock in their jungle like the likes of the Hecarim? They want to just get a good bot lane going. That could be their option right now. And it looks like the answer is going to be a flexible bot lane. You can send that Lulu mid, you can send it bot. London, honestly, they could just go for like a Camille Galio here and sack that jungle and kind of push it down. But I feel like too many teams prioritize jungle way too hard at the moment.
Even then, we could even see something like a Camille TF as well. That could also work in the same vein. It gives them a few more options. Yeah. And honestly, TF really dumpsters on Lulu. Not just in like the 1v1 in mid, in lane, but also Lulu can't really polymorph you faster than you can throw a gold card typically. So if you just Destiny Gate down to the lane, you can lock up Lulu, you can lock up whichever target you want, and it just ends up being a free pick. But the Senna Hecarim combination, it's too potent, it's too powerful. London going to lock that one in for themselves. And with the Lulu flex there, I mean, Lulu can technically go in 3 lanes here, though I don't necessarily see Hachi playing it. given his champion pulled the split. So for London, I mean, you could just go the Tom Kench if you want to go down like the Senna TK immediately, but I think the Oriana's totally fine. It does sort of gear more towards team fighting as opposed to potential 1-3-1ing, which is what we saw out of London yesterday. Perhaps thinking that
dog pile comp time. It's dog pile comp time, I think. All right, talk to me about the Nidalee. You don't like that one so much?
No, I don't want to talk about Nidalee.
Tough. You're paid to talk about the Nidalee.
I know. Look, I don't think there was a worse jungle pick. I really do mean that. Nidalee's going to have to really take over the early game, which again, in this matchup, much like the Kindred one, Nidalee only has like levels 1 through 5 to deal with Hecarim, and if she doesn't in that time span, then Hecarim's just going to have a real fun time with the Oriana and the Daunting Shadows from Senna always coming over the top. So you just lock in something like Lilia and you're just going to have a better time of it. Anyway,
even if you wanted to kind of play a more like quote unquote weak side jungler, I know that's not really a thing, but like the Kindred still would have offered more.
I think Kindred
when you've got a Lulu
would have offered way more. Yeah, exactly. So big head scratcher from me. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it. I don't think it's a good pick. For London though, I like the Cho'Gath ban away. We've seen Cho'Gath dismantle engage compositions on multiple occasions just today already. I wouldn't be too surprised to see another top lane ban, maybe like Malphite or
the Oracle has spoken.
The Oracle has spoken. Yeah. As it's kind of the only thing that Hachi could have realistically locked in to have given them more engage, and now you start to think about things like Ornn, which has certainly fallen out of flavor with a lot of the teams in the league, and the Azir, very blindable, very potent, one of the best mids. I personally believe the best mid on the patch right now, moving forward as well. So especially into Oriana, a lot of teams really don't mind the matchup at all.
It's a dog pile comp.
It's a dog pile comp.
It's absolutely
looking like it's going to be the Volibear from Opilion. I believe he's played it a couple of times now. Honestly, totally fine with that. London looking to move away from the 1-3-1 style they had yesterday and fully gear themselves into team fighting now. Curious thing for me is what support are they going to pair up with all of this? They still have the Galio if they want to go down that route. If they want to sort of look further down the list of engagers, then they could look at Rakan. But the Braum potentially signifies, if it does get locked in, that they are just going to play full weak side. Oh, no, we got Sion. All right, so fasting Sion and Senna. We saw G2 play this in the LEC. And let me tell you about this combination real quick, as it looks like we're going to have an Aurelia lock-in, which...
Spicy,
but Bulldog's composition is all over the place. London, a little more uniform with one another, more or less front to back. Let the divers do their thing. Oriana and Senna should be fine on the backside. If the tanks have to retreat to peel, they can, but the peel isn't great. But it's more about the front line, the beefiness of the tanks. But yeah, Sion Senna, you can chuck a W on a creep, and Sion can roar said W creep into champions, and it will root them once the channel of the W finishes up. Mickey and Reckless did it multiple times against, I cannot remember who it was, but the poor souls were not able to play League of Legends, I promise you. The one sort of thankful thing for Bulldog is that a lot of their carries, both their carries actually have mobility spells, and even the Aurelia has a mobility spell, so it's going to be hard to get locked up by that, but it is definitely a very potent tool. We saw it work very well up in the LEC. We'll have to see whether London can replicate that level of success, but for Bulldog, I feel like they've given themselves a mountain to climb in this game.
Yeah.
It's just so hard for me to say draft to draft that they have a solid chance, bar some very big mishaps from the London side.
And, you know, we did see a fairly sloppy game from London yesterday. Sure, they got the win, but the game itself was slow tempo. It was, I wouldn't say indecisive, but they were very reluctant to push to close that game. It was a nightmare. They were very reluctant to push to kind of close that game, and I think that was the biggest problem they had. So I want to see a much more decisive London, because that game was very slow, and you know, they really got contested. So versus Bulldog, they need to get a really decisive win here, and for Bulldog, they just need to win here. Like we said, it is best or worst case scenario. It's relegations or it's
playoffs.
Playoffs. Thank you. I have placements in my head.
It's okay.
It's playoffs. So just, you know, there is more League of Legends to play no matter what the outcome is for Bulldog.
Yeah, and just to sort of let the viewers know why this is the case, Bulldog do not have a head-to-head over Envision. They are 0-2 versus Envision. However, they are 2-0 versus M&M. So a win would tie them with M&M, giving them the head-to-head advantage, meaning they would shift up to 4th. But if they lose and they remain tied with Envision, then that pushes them down to the 7th place mark, which is where they are currently. They have to play this game and win to get themselves out of that scenario. And unfortunately, in League of Legends, there's always a loser. So let's see whether London.
I don't know. Yesterday we got pretty close to a game that never ended.
Some say that game actually never ended. It's still being played out right now.
Yeah, we just interfered. We staged an ending so we could get out.
Yeah. This is actually.
This isn't the real Beely.
Yeah,
the real Beely.
No. This is a pre-recorded game from the middle of the week, where London actually played it out.
Yeah, Beely currently in the live game from yesterday is 80,000 CS right now.
Yeah.
It's firing up a storm.
Yeah, he's doing a pretty good job. Sykes is trailing behind by about 1,000 CS. I don't know how that happens, to be honest.
I remember, like, Beely yesterday. I mean, everyone was full build, and the death timers were like 78 seconds or like 80 seconds. It was actually crazy. That's how late the game went. The death timers were mad.
The death timers were as long as a jungle camp spawn time.
I remember Merp dying, his GA being popped when he died, and when he came back, he had almost half his GA back off cooldown. Like, it was so mad.
Yeah, it was a maddening game. As junglers, actually interesting from PFI. Solo's flying on the wolf camp, so I'm gonna keep my eyes on PFI a little more than I typically do for a jungler, as this could be a very interesting jungle path, which I personally actually had a little fiddle with. Sorry, kind of rambling away there about that. But Zion, a more traditional blue buff start. Going to be pathing most likely full clear pot to top. So going to avoid PFI. PFI going to avoid Nidalee also. As the Hecarim, you don't really want to run into Nidalee too often in the early stages of the laning phase, as in the bottom side, Poke and VUC going to have a lane priority. Just the range support into that melee support. Only natural, but VUC actually has the E skilled in, so he's going to shove the wave naturally fast. It's going to be fasting center. No major surprise there.
One thing to note is PFI is down on tempo to Zion right now. Obviously, the real invades are going to come out because both of them are cleared their blue side, but Zion's finished his chicken camp and is now onto his red camp, while PFI only just really getting through that chicken camp, probably about halfway through it now, if not closing in on it being done.
Yeah, so typically anyway, Hecarim is a little bit slower than Nidalee players. I mean, some really proficient Nidalee players, like you've got Maxi in the NLC. Maxi, whenever he plays Nidalee, if he's on a full clear duty, you'll see him finish a blue to Krug path by, I don't know, 308 or something like that. In this case, Zion just finishing up now, so a little bit behind the NLC resident Nidalee player, but still actually trying to contest the top Skull Crab. Doesn't have any priority up here, so PFI beelines it all the way up and should find himself the crab, though Zion has finally crossed over the wall and there's no smite for PFI.
Yeah, and the crab's going to walk into him as well. They're going to have to try and manipulate this one.
Yeah, they have to pull it up.
Able to drift it away. I mean,
oh, look at the bot side from London
the bot lane have rotated over, so this is guard duty from London right now.
Yeah, they have to leave. Yeah, have to leave. Ooh, I don't know if they know Hepe is there. As okay.
Poke getting poked out pretty heavily.
PFI's on the way, but PFI's level 4 and almost has smite this time. The Skull Crab's basically still full HP and they can't actually burst the shield off immediately, but seems like Bulldog can at least secure one crab for all of the shenanigans.
And the big thing is PFI doesn't really gain much from that because he didn't even take his Krugs, so they're still on their level 1 spawn. Zion did his a while back, so they'll be coming up fairly soon, actually.
Yeah.
So,
but
XP, this is going to be big for Zion.
Yeah. Oh, Zion's actually gone in here onto the walls.
Oh, hello! Merp! Hachi's going down! Merp finds first blood!
No. Hachi found first blood on himself, as Zion actually finds some kill threat here onto PFI, who doesn't have flash, don't forget.
Oh, the spin is going to connect.
Brilliant.
Zion finds the kill. And now Merp might be next up on the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Merpillion. Yeah, good night. Oh,
Zion?
Oh, Bone Playing saved him. Bone Playing saved him from the auto attack. That's kind of hilarious. Zion proving that he is better than Yankos. Literally. I don't think you'll get that one, Jake. But G2 have been picking Nidalee a lot, and Yankos has like a 40% spear hit rate or something like that. Zion, far more proficient, it apparently appears, as always. We could have had something out of that. But the end result is Bulldog honestly pulling quite far ahead. Zion is already level 6. To PFI's level 4. I'd say Nidalee, the jungle matchup is not great, and this is one of the few times you can actually abuse the Ekrim as pre-level 6. Found the opportunity in the jungle as get a nice replay. Look at this, and there's just so much auto attack damage coming down that Hachi feels like once he lands the stun, he's gonna have enough lethal, but let's see. Oh, the grass peeling with the pot ticking is what keeps Merpillion afloat. As first spear lands on, PFI doesn't really know what to do once he has the spear, the mark passive on top of him. And Zion just kind of runs him down, the final spear lands. Lands that all in, and unfortunately, Hachi has that teleport available, comes back in. Merpillion lands spear, and the bone playing from Merp comes back up, so it's why that initial auto attack doesn't kill. But dissipates off, the red buff is there. Not able to survive that one. Bulldog, not a bad start, particularly for this Nidalee, who really has to get going. I have to emphasize this a lot. Really has to get going to be useful in this kind of game. As Hachi gonna find a stun here.
That's going to get the shield off on the Sky Splitter. There's the ulti thrown down. The Stormringer's used as well. And Hachi, big heal out from the Chomp. Don't know who wins this one. It's getting pretty close with both of them. Merp does have the anti-heal from the Bramble Vest and has a bit of sustain, but same for Hachi, who's also got the Conqueror and the Vampiric Scepter. Yeah. Kind of messy fight.
Yeah, so much sustain between both these two top lanes, between the runes and also the items and the abilities as well. Zion doing a pretty good job here of staying very far ahead on tempo. Going to be picking up this dragon for himself, and honestly, he also has the crab right there, so... Alright. You know what, normally I frown upon Nidalee picks a lot. Especially in a situation where you're looking at Hecarim, Senna, Orianna, but doing a pretty good job here. You know, I'm okay with it so far, as that dragon pickup means we are not going to have either an Infernal or Ocean for this game. Mountain or Cloud is going to be the name of the Dragon Soul game. I think Beely not quite going to be up to stop. See, I wonder who's going to prioritize the Herald, because we've had some really funky lane swaps so far.
Yeah, we were talking about it yesterday, actually. In the UKLC, we see a lot of teams prioritize
full rotations up.
Full rotations over than just supports, where in the NLC, we actually see teams just swap their supports up.
Yeah,
it looks like neither team swapping out yet. London have the pressure in this bot lane, pushing in.
Yeah, I'll have to ask somebody that knows far more about me than Herald specifically. So I still do believe that just sending your support up is normally the highest gold percent play.
Yeah.
Unless you really want the Herald, but whenever you commit full rotations, you often open yourselves up to immediate responses in the cross map. So even if you secure the Herald, you have to always remember the Herald is only going to be worth the flat 320 gold plus whatever the takedown gold is for the actual camp itself.
Yeah, unless you translate it into a first Tower Blood. That's the only time. They're actually making their way over. They look to try and steal it away. PFI is just going to play guard duty right now. Has got the charge. The shockwave's on the ball as well.
Oh, the bottom lane's here from London.
Stopping them from even getting close as the charge comes in from Sion. Nobody is getting this Rift Herald.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I'm someone from Bulldog, I just take it. BD could get no, but I don't think they're gonna pull the trigger on that one.
He has Shockwave.
He has Shockwave and Flash.
Oh,
hello.
Voxley might be in trouble. Flashes away the minion like an absolute hero, blocks it, and now Shiklin locked down. Jeppe coming in, the railgun's being flashed. They've got the knock up, but it's not gonna hit the mark. Shiklin gets out alive.
Has to blow the flash. It was a very nice initial engage, trying to set up for Zion to land that spear, but it is dodged away from by Denvoxne with the flash in response. So just a trade of flashes between the AD carry and mid lane, respectively, of London and Bulldog here. As honestly, that Herald not being picked up is kind of a big deal for Bulldog.
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't really commit too much to the play, so in that sense, sure, but in terms of wanting to accelerate the game through Nidalee, that's more what you look towards as the issue, as Hachi trying to hold this wave in a freeze, make Mopilian feel like he's in a very uncomfortable position. But if that cannon minion drops, which it is most certainly going to do, then now it's going to shove back out, as ooh, that wasn't the best trade for Hachi.
That's starting to hurt.
Yeah.
Shove the wave in. Hachi does have the Vanguard's edge. He's going to throw it down. Gets taxied out on the minions.
Ooh.
Taxi's back in, but Zion's coming here. Merp has the flash. He's going to have to use it or he's going down. Able to dodge away on the spear. Gets the shield off. Hachi comes in for the stun. And they're tanking that tower. This is really well juggled. But now Hachi, he's going low. The minion autos. He's so low. One more minion. And Merp gets the outplay. Holy moly.
Why are we...
It's paint, but without the T.
It's Spain, but without the S. Man. Alright. Bulldog have... No, don't pull up the re... Okay, well, the idea is good from Bulldog. Unfortunately, the execution just... slightly lacking, unfortunately. That was the end result. Very nice flash from Merp. Zion doesn't hit the spear, but the issue for Hachi is he flash blade searches forward, lands the stun, but because he stuns after the Q, or before the, after the Q, he doesn't have a second dash to find the execute on Mopilian. So, yeah. It's kind of that. Second dragon spawning. I imagine London going to be eyeing this one up far more than the previous, as poke.
Actually, the shockwave, he's gonna get pulled in. Low health there. Have to bop him back.
Wow.
Poke's able to survive. Denvoxne now has that railgun. Can he find the snipe? Or is Poke gonna get caught out? They're looking to see if they can find him with the bull, with the scouting. It looks like they're gonna call it there.
Poke is a far braver individual than I ever could wish to be, holding him to his flash summoner spell. As if I did Vox, they're gonna just eat this one up. Pretty clean take off the back of the near pick of Poke, and it's going to be a Cloud Soul, which honestly, London going to be pretty happy with out of the two. I thought, well, you know what, Mountain Soul's pretty oppressive here too, but you're not going to turn your nose up at ultimate cooldown reduction when you have a composition like London's where they likely want to just go once they hit their item spikes on every given opportunity afforded to them.
You know, I don't think supports get enough praise. They spend their entire time not farming, and then Senna comes out, and the AD carries go, no, you're farming now.
You know, it reminds me actually...
They actually have such wide champion pools. You know, like, how much do you think Jepe's actually played Sion, like, prior to Senna kind of being around? Probably not a lot.
A whole bunch. Oh, that's very nice.
Good spear.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I suppose so, but supports at the same time... The floor to being, you know, a passable support is probably the lowest amongst any position in the game.
Orcs took that very personally.
Orcs did probably take that very personally. But I would also go as far as saying that next to jungle, London probably... the support role probably has the highest skill ceiling. So it's very much, you know, what you make the tools afforded to you. I'm sure somebody will be very angry with my opinion on
yeah, he said jungle's the highest skill season and support is the easiest to play.
At the very top end.
Smells like we got a Kane player in the room.
Yo, I have not really played that champion in a while. No, I mean, anyone that's, you know, not crazy biased will probably hold a relatively similar opinion. I mean, jungle's the hardest role to, like, baseline play outside of the brainless sort of walk lane to lane ganking on Lee Sin or Nidalee or something. Your silence doesn't.
Yeah,
doesn't
there's a
scream.
reason I'm silent, but yeah.
Alright, well, it's okay.
After the last few weeks we've had, where jungle is the only relevant role in the game, jungle and any carry.
Well, right now, obviously, jungle is a little bit powerful, but when it's not at the top of the actual role strength leaderboard.
I'm still sticking by the conversation me and Orcs had on the NLC. I think there should be walls erected in the jungle, and junglers can't leave their jungle for 50 minutes. They're allowed to play the game after that. Orcs was a little harsher. He said they weren't allowed to leave the fountain, but I think they're allowed to farm the jungle. I'll give him something to do.
I mean, I suppose so. I suppose it's
the game would be much better.
What's really funny is somehow laners would try and still make it about jungle diff. Some way or another. The mental gymnastics required. Oh, hello. What's going on up here? All right, nothing apparently. Zion, though, is 2 levels up in PFI, so this could be a pretty easy smite fight for Zion to win, assuming the Eye doesn't make it easy.
He's going for it. He's going for the charge, able to get it. But now
they're going to get it this time.
Off the Eye once again. They're going to miss out on the tether, and that might just be enough if the charge comes in. Den Voxney now has to run away as Zion gets himself the kill. Looking for the spear onto Den. Den's able to dodge away with the speed from that mist. Zion, massive lead right now.
Yeah, Zion is having a absolute blinder of a Nidalee game. And this is what we needed from the pick, just for the record. If Nidalee was equal or behind Hecarim, oh, well.
Chicklin,
very nice.
You're going to get the shot. Oh. You're standing on top of that Orianna ball. Flashes out of that one as the railgun comes in. Chicklin gets chunked pretty heavily. Late teleport as well from Merp. Not sure about that one, buddy.
No, it's just to dissuade any potential members rotating down from Bulldog. So it's not necessarily a terrible teleport. Puts him a little bit off sync. It means that Zion could actually take the top tower of the Herald, but I imagine you want to hold on to that trading tool closer towards this dragon, so that is going to be the case. See a stopwatch picked up by Zion too on this reset. A whole bunch of item spikes just came in too. Got Chicklin with the Leandries plus that recurve bow. Healy on the other side, yet to find his mythic, as then Voxney does have that Kraken Slayer, and Pepe also has his Chem Tank, as well as Merpillion having the same.
The UC, though, interestingly enough, pretty much quite close to where Den Voxney is, considering Den Voxney isn't farming. And the UC has the most farm by like a large margin as well. 171 CS, highest in the game. See the individual golds right now. He's up a fair amount of gold over Den Voxney. He's up over the mid laners as well. It's only Zion who has more gold than him right now.
Oh, that's very true.
Yet the gold is still very close because Merp is very strong.
Merp is very strong. Very, very strong. Highest level in the game, right next to Zion, who, I mean, if there was an argument for jungle being a broken role, then it might be this game. You have a jungle of the same level as laners, God forbid. But, second dragon over to Bulldog, 2 away from that soul. Denying it away from London is, honestly, it's a little higher in value than you would typically imagine. Okay, Pepe not going to find that. That's an egg smash. Ooh. We are yet to see the combination of Senna Sion, by the way. I hope we do get to see it.
Yeah, I hope we do.
It's actually pretty funny.
I can't believe we haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
If you tuned into the LEC, you would have seen it.
Yes. As oh, thank you, Observer, trying to give us a quick look at what's going on with Senna Sion.
Chicklin?
Oh
no. Beely's got the shuffle, he's got the flash, and one more auto
just donate it.
Clockwork
just
wind up.
It. Don't even...
Gets himself the kill.
Yeah, don't run away, Chicklin. Live up to your sin.
Accept your fate.
Yeah.
Riftail came, got a charge, didn't hit the tower, but they are looking to jump in. Den Voxney has to flash away from the spin.
Oh,
he's going
gone
down. That's the execute. Jeppe now trying to jump away from Zion, able to survive it. That was so much burst from the UC, but here comes PFI onto that move on the side, but gonna get zoned away. It's a slowed down from the Roar.
Very nice amount of burst damage coming in. That's one of the few things about Tristana that other AD carries don't necessarily have going for them, is that she can actually find these assassinations from pretty strange angles like that. Only other champion that really springs to mind is, what, Kai'Sa can do things like that. But the explosive bomb, the explosive charge, plus the ultimate was enough to burst down Den Voxney. Senna as a champion doesn't really have very high base HP. So very vulnerable to all-ins like that. And despite the success of this Nidalee pick and the UC definitely being quite far ahead of then Boxney and Hefe, gold lead still just barely in London's favor. Merpillion doing I imagine it's mostly Merp here, plus Beely, because Shiklin decided to do a little bit of donation work down here. London potentially looking for a bot side. Oh,
I think he was revealed. They didn't ping it though.
Do they know?
They'll see him on the sweeper. They know. They know. They can see him on the sweeper. He takes the spear, and PFI just has to charge out immediately.
That's probably going to be the bot tier 1 tower. London don't really have much of a means of answer when BD doesn't have teleport. PFI was obviously committed to this bot play, and Hepe has to clear the mid wave. Just a clean take. A reset, most likely, for, at the very least, Zion. Archie could follow suit as Merp is now being bullied out of this lane, but could see another potential chunk on this mid lane tier 1, but no idea where the Irelia is sitting in fog for now.
Game's definitely slowed down. Going back to what we saw yesterday from London. 21 minutes on the clock. The gold lead is dead even, but you got a very fed Nidalee. You got a pretty strong volley there. Don't know which one I'd rather have.
Yeah, now this is the point in the game where I start to kind of worry a little bit for Bulldog, just comp to comp. The Nidalee pacing has slowed down a tad. See, PFI is only 1 level behind Zion right now, but Zion might be pretty close to ticking 14. Another jungle
consistently stealing camps, he's going to be able to do that. PFI has to jump away. Spear's not going to connect, and PFI able to survive. But Jeppe, Den, and Beely are here. Jeppe can get that charge off as they root onto Zion. Zion able to launch away to safety. But UC able to get the movement speed from the cloud. Jungle. Jeppe's pretty tanky. The one person Zion's going to struggle to kill.
Yeah. Oh, all right, take it away, Jim.
They know this is going on. They finally see them. This is scary. The shockwave could be very impactful here as the railgun gets fired. Baron's already low HP. There's the ball delivery, but it's not going to be enough. The charge is in. Zion is going low. He's going to get forced out of the pit for the moment of attack. He's trying to do the damage, but that is the Baron. I didn't see who got it. It was secured for the side of Bulldog. And now London, they are mad. They are looking for kills. Zion knocked up. Zion on the run. Gets the proto belt. Gets the movement speed, but Merp will continue to chase him down. And here comes a speedy horse. PFI runs him over. Zion very, very strong though. And UC able to get away. London answer out with 3 kills, but they lose the Baron.
Yeah, they lose the Baron. It makes sense. Obviously, Zion was a level up, and trying to secure Baron against the Nidalee takedown is honestly a pretty hard task. There's not many champions that can actually match that level of execution damage. You only think of like Nunu, Evelyn, maybe a Kha'Zix if the Baron is in isolation. So hard task for PFI, even though he is the Smite King. Couldn't steal it away this time. Could look to try and steal away this dragon though.
They both have smite though, so I think it's going to be hard to do so. But the teleports are coming in, the shuffle's going down, the dragon's been secured. Denvoxy firing onto Shiklin on the backline. Shiklin's getting chunks, but
Denvoxy's gone!
Slides in and secures the kill. Beely all alone, no team, nowhere to go. Gets the movement speed from the Dissonance. Meanwhile, the group of the frontliners are now the ones on the menu. VUC has that Kraken Slayer, has the damage to work with. Beely can't even get remotely close. The Flawless Duet doesn't quite hit, and now that knock up from Jeppe not going to be big enough, and PFI just might have to run to the wind. The shockwave connects, and now Beely able to put that damage in. They get themselves the kill. PFI still alive for the moment, but he gets taken out. It's a double kill for UC though, and now the Jeppe will lose his zombie form. London are going to have to get sent packing.
Yeah, not really ideal there for London. Bulldog can see some of the utility kind of come out of the comp in sort of extended fights, where you've got constant Lulu shields, the healing, sort of a pseudo health bar. You don't actually execute targets from London.
They might get caught out. Merp has ult. Merp has ult. The proto belt's being used for UC. Just jumps under the tower. Finds himself one shutdown, but Den gets a shutdown in response. The polymorph's being used, and Den's looking for poke. This is the last of the Barons. Zai gets the pillar. He gets the spear, but it's not going to be enough. Den's able to survive. Here comes the Sky Splitter. Merp gets the shutdown. Baron is wiped from the map.
Baron is no longer on the Bulldog members, and not only that, those are some huge shutdowns going over to already strong members of London Esports. Not great from Bulldog, not respecting the fact that that play could be a possibility. And they get punished heavy-handedly. Now, that being said, it is just 3 minutes until they can secure a soul, but it is not like an Infernal Soul pickup. It is not like an Ocean Soul pickup, which can be so oppressive for diving compositions like the one that London have. But this is like you're going to start all the way back at the Baron, and I was umming and ahhing. I wasn't really sure about this Baron attempt from Bulldog, and you can kind of understand why. If the smite from PFI was on point, there is no way that Zion was going to be able to take down the Baron. And the Q hitbox from Sion looked a bit wacky, but it's just the way the terraining works in League of Legends. I promise you it hit him, as Zion doesn't actually fall down. The devastating charge isn't that heavy loaded in damage because Zion has that Zhonya's Hourglass, the armor, to give him the resistances available. As this dragon also won over by Zion, this time a little more one-sided per se. And the fight that unfolds is, honestly, London leave their backline to the wolves, quite literally almost. Zion and Archie on the backside just eating up Den Voxnay. And I mean, it's understandable from London, kind of, but they could have most likely taken an easier path out, as PFI, I don't know, PFI just a little bit too far forward. Hard to deal with all of the shielding utility, and this is just where Bulldog step a little bit too far forward. I mean, I don't even know realistically why you're going for this play. You have a 500 gold shutdown bounty on your head. Poke also donating a kill over to Den Voxnay, and Zion is a nice spear to almost take down Den Voxnay if he could get that leap, that pounce off, but he just wasn't in range. Hepe could be the recipient of a 3-man gank.
Yeah, remember there's a lot of damage coming out from VUC. He's got that Dominic's reminder, Lord Doms. He's got the Phantom Dancer and the Kraken Slayer. So these tanks will get cut through very quickly. I'd like to note for Den Voxnay, this is what we saw yesterday from him, I believe, when he played the center, if it was him that played the center. But I know he's a player that does this. He actually doesn't go for the Rage Blade second. He gets the Rage Knife for the passive and then goes straight into the Rapid Fire Cannon for the extended range. And
it's very powerful.
It's so powerful. He has so much range. He has 125 stacks. I think this is a lot further behind from what he had yesterday.
Yeah. Can we get a quick check on just the stats he's getting? So 150 range. What else? Almost 180, 60% crit chance. Not quite at that lifesteal point yet, but on his way. As I believe once you hit a specific threshold, it could just be 100% crit chance. You start getting lifesteal. There you go. Our Observer's an AD carry.
I'm an idiot. Yesterday, I called him out for having the sickle and not being like, oh, you're going to have 80% crit. But actually, I'm a moron. Senna gets crit chance.
Yes, exactly.
So it doesn't matter. Look at that range.
Yeah, especially into a composition like Bulldog's. Bulldog can't match that range. The only ability in the game currently from Bulldog that can match the range of Senna right now is a Nidalee Spear. Everything else is too far, too short range.
Imagine having an undodgeable Nidalee Spear, because that's almost the damage we're going to get to at this point.
Yeah.
They're getting zoned away from actually making their way in to defend this tower. Beely's ball is just really well placed.
Great ball placement so far.
Wait, what? Hachi just melts. Where did he go?
All right. Well, London take a free donation. That's what I'm going to call that, as they should be able to honestly pick up the dragon, but they want to bait Bulldog into a worse fight at a numbers disadvantage. But the Baron is up. That's the key thing. They're going to try and turn their attention towards the Baron. They don't necessarily need Hachi to take down the Baron, but they'll need him for a fight. There's no way they can win out 4v5. But actually, Hecarim's on the Cloud Dragon. He's securing that one for London right now.
Yep, able to get it and move over in time to defend as well. So London, good job there. Heads up play, played that calm, played that collected, got themselves the objective, got themselves the tower. Now Merp's getting jumped onto, but the healing's there from the center to make sure that Merp will be okay. Oh my lord. Den, good block by Jeppe.
Yeah. Then what's making? Yeah.
Ooh.
Stuff like that.
I mean, there's so much to sustain with Lulu Nidalee in this game.
There is.
Interested to see it's the Proto build from Zion and not the Knight.
Yeah.
Den flashed away. Didn't need to, but did it out of respect. But
Hachi
Hachi
on the backside.
The railgun gets fired. Hachi now has to try and turn this one around, but Beely's already got the kill onto Shiklin. Den gets the next kill, and now Poke on the run. It's a double kill for Den Voxney. Merp launches over the wall into Zion's face, and Zion has the movement speed from the brushes, but Merp will chase him down. The flash is used, and he is out there. VUC killed by Den Voxney. This is Baron Nashor for the side of London.
Yeah, this is most likely going to be Baron Nashor. Now, Zion does have Smite. If is off cooldown. He's on cooldown, sorry. So if Zion can ult, get into the pit while he's being hunted
you can't
down.
Smite if you're in the grey scheme, my friend. Beely makes sure he finds that kill. And that is the ace. It's delayed. The Baron in the pocket as well. 50 seconds until Zion's back. This team are going to be at a numbers deficit for an extremely long time now.
Yeah, and man, it's not great. It's not looking great for Bulldog. Remember, to reiterate the stakes, they lose this game, they are relegated from the UKLC. They're going to be playing in those relegation series. And Hachi, I mean, I don't know what Hachi was doing. And again, a win for them if they can overcome this massive gold deficit they find themselves in will place them in relegations. The engage from Shiklin is unnecessary. I'll put it like that. Hachi attempting to dive onto Den Voxney, but he just wasn't quite able to find any kind of lethal. And unfortunately, from that point on, the fight was always going to be pretty one-sided. As soon as Den Voxney is going to be left untouched. And fight was pretty one-sided from that point on. I am actually being notified by having Twitch chat open that with this build, you don't get any life steal anyway. Some kind of maths mumbo jumbo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay. Is it? Oh, yeah, because it's excess crit, right?
I think so, yeah. Ah, that makes sense. Thank you, Twitch chat. Always making me smarter. As a fight hard. London could look for an engage potentially.
One big thing to note is that PFI is actually caught up in experience to Zion now.
Yeah, that's the thing about this jungle matchup 1-to-1. As in Italy, you have to stay ahead of the game. You have to stay on pace, and they weren't really.
He's getting auto attack from his jungle. He can't even see who's hitting him. He's just losing health.
What do you do?
Is so obnoxious.
Yeah, this champion's pretty oppressive. What else can I say? As London, they've cracked open the base.
The sack is Tristana's the champion but gains range as the game goes on. But it's like, it just doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Although it does matter for Merp, who has to pop the ulti to survive. The railgun shield is there, and Merp is able to survive.
Doesn't look great for Bulldog.
Fire.
Yeah, it really isn't looking great for Bulldog, Dick. Oh my goodness me.
Beely is hitting like a truck. Like, we keep singing the phrase, praises about Den Voxney, but Beely is hitting like an absolute truck.
Yes, he is. London not looking to. Oh my!
Was that Kraken Slayer? I assume that was Kraken Slayer. Please tell me that was Kraken Slayer and not just a normal auto.
I'm gonna pray to God that. Okay.
Oh no, their health bars are low. That's the end of Hachi. They get the root off as well onto the back line. VUC jumps into Den Voxney, and actually VUC's able to find himself the kill, but Merp jumping in forwards. Down goes Poke. Zion trying to get the kill onto Beely, but Beely's able to survive this. Meanwhile, VUC gets himself a shutdown onto Merpillion. And the second inhibitor may just lose his life. Minion blocks the spear. And I actually think with the AD carry down, that was the time they needed to save this game. As PFI may just look to hunt down Zion. Zion, there's only so far you can run, my friend.
All right, cat and mouse. Who's going
awesome
where?
Cat.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh.
There it is. As the dragon's up as well.
Yeah, and that's just going to be the third dragon. Taken away by London.
This happened yesterday.
Yes, it did.
This happened yesterday. The enemy team got 3 dragons, and then London just stacked dragons. It's happening again!
I promise I will leave you mid-cast if this game goes 45 minutes or longer. Please don't make that happen. The replay on our screens, of course, it's not really much to say. The only positive thing for Bulldog here is that VUC was able to take down Merpillion, and the fact that Sinner, I suppose, died as well, and that's the other positive. if Senna survived, certainly would have been lights out Bulldog in that relegation series, but clinging on by the skin of their teeth.
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
And this is how the final game of the season goes out.
Yes.
London style. This is what London have done. I remember kind of calling them out for this at the beginning of the split. That was definitely, I think the reason the game is extended was a good turnaround from Bulldog to be able to kill like the likes of Denvoxney, because I think they were looking to close there. They had Baron, they had 2 inhibitors. They wanted to end there, but they were caught out. The UC just completely assassinated Denvoxney. And speaking of assassination, Poke has to put the wild growth on himself to survive the all-in. There is a Titanic onto Merpillion, so he's actually hitting real hard right now as the Sun Disc will fall.
Yeah, and I think the more irritating thing when watching London have these kind of games is that they still stand out as one of the stronger early game teams in the league. They typically have a very strong, well planned out early game.
This game might not be the best example of that.
This is maybe not the best example, but they often find themselves with relatively large gold leads off the back of very strong draft and execution. Merp is losing HP quite quickly.
Is able to shield up, but yeah, he greedily passed to join his team there, and that was not what you wanted. Although he jumps in looking for Denvoxney. Denvoxney had to buy some space. Can he survive this? Yes, he can. Beely finds the kill. And now the railgun's been fired off. Jeppe in zombie form. Traded out. It's a 1-for-1 so far.
But the
supers pouring into the base.
I don't know.
Should just be the end of this final tower. Only the Nexus and the Nexus towers stand with the super minions pushing in. London don't feel comfortable without their Jeppe. They're going to reset. Baron's up on the map, and I think that's the smart call. Get Baron, and then just look to close.
They could look to do Baron now. Archie's dead for another 24, 25 seconds, and with that in mind, Bulldog don't necessarily have much vision for him to teleport to. That ward might time out before he actually respawns, so...
Zion's kind of a fountain.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even contesting.
Yeah, you can't. You really can't, and that's honestly kind of going to be it for this Baron. It's going to even eclipse the soul if Bulldog even feel like fighting for that. I don't think it's a worthy cause. As supers pouring from every lane. One thing, we'll have to see how London use the Baron. Obviously, there's not really much for them to use it on outside of the Bulldog base. So in this case, trying to see them get Baron into all 3 lanes would be nice, but they do split up. It just gives Hachi or Shikli an opportunity to shuffle in 1 or 2 members or execute 1 or 2 members with a long-range Zion Spear. So we could just see London kind of group up in 1 lane, allow the rest of the supers to catch up on the sides, as mid lane seems to be the choice of lane. Mid lane inhibitors respawned. Oh, teleport coming in behind.
Yeah, they're teleporting in. Den's going to get in with PFI for the moment. Hachi gets the stun onto Jeppe. Jeppe taking a lot of damage. He's going to lose his life before this fight can even start. As Denvoxney able to dodge away. Has to use that stopwatch. Shockwave's used by Beely. It's not enough. But the Zed's coming in. Beely's still alive. They get themselves their shutdowns, but now the members of Bulldog are so low. Poke's getting chased, and Merp is just an absolute beast on the volley bear. Shikli will lose his life momentarily as they do look for a little bit more. PFI runs down Poke. And Zion, only one standing. Zion looking for the assassination onto Beely. Not going to get it. Merp has teleported into the base. Beely goes for the glory flash. That's the ace. The base is being sieged. And London knock Bulldog out of playoffs and into the relegations.
Into the relegation zone. And Envision say thank you very much, London Esports. You don't want to be playing in relegations this time around. And London, 2nd place in the regular season, is going to be their finish. This win, this game, realistically didn't have many stakes or any stakes for them at all, but they didn't want to go out on a loss. They don't go out on a loss. Chuck Bulldog Esports into the relegation zone. And honestly, it was a fairly convincing game, but there were still some moments from London where you had to kind of sort of scratch your head, rub your chin, feel, hey, maybe not the most optimal decisions being made. But at that point, when you have such a large gold lead, such a big compositional difference to Bulldog, who Bulldog had to, I don't even know, they had to just accelerate Hachi, maybe try and play through him on the side, but Hachi tried to dive Merpillion at level 3, died, and then tried to dive him several minutes later and died again. So
Yeah.
Archie couldn't really be an avenue to be played through. Zion was the one picking up the kills, and Nidalee, Zion wasn't able to actually accelerate that lead any further beyond 2 levels. And his lanes weren't really set up for him to succeed post that evo.
I actually think Merp had an absolute cracking game. Honestly, 2 dives in a row, he just turned. I mean, the first one was a bit of a freebie from Hachi. I hate to say it because I actually genuinely loved watching Hachi this split. But Merp honestly turned 2 dives so well, so well, and I'm sure he's probably feeling quite happy with himself after that one. Denvoxney on the center just basically became a bot that could shoot you from the fountain. Like, he was doing so much from off screen. It was crazy. But, you know, he was also the target of a lot of the attention in those team fights. You saw that final team fight. Everything was used in the Merp. He was blown up. Oh, sorry, Denvoxney. And then Merp just tidied up with Beely. It felt like Beely was kind of the secret carry of that game, because we didn't really think too much about him, but he was just doing so much damage. He was doing so much work on that Orianna.
His ball placement, the pressure of his spacing in general just made it so hard for Bulldog to actually play out any kind of team fights. And Bulldog in general also kind of funneled quite heavily into quite a few chokes too. So it did make Beely's job easy, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because Beely still executed on that. And that was the important thing. And honestly, also on Merp, I think it's a very strong storyline for him as well, because at the start of the split, he was looking like almost a liability for London. As a whole were looking fine outside of some of his play around team fights and some of his play around skirmishes in particular, but he's really cleaned that up towards the back end of the split. And London, you know, looked like the other team in the league that are kind of the team sort of next to Resolve as well, which we haven't really been able to say about many other rosters outside of M&M before they actually fell apart. So it's definitely very exciting to see, and I'm going to be looking forward to their matchup against Enclave in the semifinals too.
I mean, also another thing to walk away was yesterday we had a massive chat with Alex, our admin, kind of smart brains behind the scene, and he talked to us about, you know, we brought him on the show to talk about all of the tiebreaker scenarios that could happen, because there were so many yesterday.
There were so many.
And now we've ended, and there were no tiebreakers. There was a bunch of upsets yesterday, and that completely rattled any chance of tiebreakers.
Yeah, we were so certain that playoffs were inevitable that we actually just brought Alex on and said, all right, here are all of the opportunities for playoffs. And then we just didn't get them. And I mean, you know, we was like,
I'm shocked.
We were excited talking about, oh, look, we could get maybe 3 to 4 playoff matches here. Tiebreakers here. And then we just end up with none. We spoke about the sort of highest possibility chance and never really spoke about the lowest possibility. Sometimes that's just how things are.
Well, that was a good game. That was a very good game. And I believe we actually have your drawing ready. So, Jamada, how about you talk us through your favorite play from this game?
So, I wouldn't necessarily call it my favorite play because Bulldog, guys, this is not the time. This is not the time to flip the Baron. Now, fortunately, they get it, but it's about the results of what actually happens after it. So, Bulldog, they've put themselves in a situation where they're all kind of corralled into the Baron pit. And, I mean, whilst they do have 3 champions inside of, you know, Nidalee, Azir, Tristana that can escape over the back of the pit, right, with their mobility spells, etc., it's still not a good position to be in when you've got Beely right here with the ball, which he can just walk forward with. There is no real threat of anyone from Bulldog sort of turning around because Chicklin has to put the soldiers on the Baron to DPS it down. Zion has to have spears marked on the Baron to constantly have his bonus damage being procced. So no one can really turn too hard on him, especially when Merpillion's right here. You've got Denvoxney and Hepe on the bottom side of the fight, who will eventually turn up to it as well. And we have currently the Bulldog vision, but PFI is finishing up the Dragon on the bottom side, so I'll finally get it going. And it's just an unfavorable position for them to be in. You see, Merpillion comes in, and it's a massive amount of damage. And honestly, all of the Bulldog health bars are just getting absolutely shredded. So much range coming out from Denvoxney over the wall onto Chicklin, and Hachi also in a position where, I mean, he just has to flash out or die, and I don't actually think he is able to flash out. Just drops in the pit. Unfortunately, Zion for Bulldog is the one that actually executes the Baron, but it's just at this point where it's already over. Hepe charges the Q over the wall. Yes, I know the hitbox looks a bit dodgy, but it's just the way the terraining works. and Zion is knocked up. Unfortunately, with the Pro Belt, with the mobility, is able to run away for quite a long time, but doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Well, it actually does. He has Sonya, so he survives. But it's just a position Bulldog didn't have to put themselves into, where they said, okay, I think they were actually one dragon away from Soul. Don't quote me on that. I think that was the position where they were one dragon away from Soul.
They were.
It could have been the dragon afterwards. I'm actually not entirely sure. Either way, they funneled themselves into a small chokehold area where Merpillion on the volley bear, Orianna can follow up. You've got the Senna Daunting Shadows over the top. You've got Sion as well. It's just not the meat grinder you want to put yourselves in. And it's what Bulldog did. And from that moment, even though they secured the Baron, the pacing, the tempo, the feel of the game felt more in London's control than it had done prior to that play being made.
Well, we actually didn't get to speak to London yesterday because the game was so long, but we had to kind of skip, otherwise we would fall off schedule. So it's going to be nice to have a chat with one of the guys from London. And we brought their AD carry in, Dem Voxney, to break this down. The man that will auto-attack you from off-screen. That's Senna. How you doing, dude? You all right?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
So, big win. Not a big win for you guys. You guys were already locked into second, but your last two games were definitely a very different style from we've seen a lot of the other teams play so far. You're definitely playing a more slower, draw-back game. Is that just like your play style thing, or is there a reason why your games are getting drawn out so much?
I think coming into this week, we didn't put as much pressure on ourselves like as we previously did, because we were in playoffs. We needed one win. Like, obviously we take it seriously and we make sure that we play our best, but it wasn't the highest. Like, we didn't have to be on peak performance in order to win these games and in order to advance to playoffs, right? Which is the most important thing. So we wanted to try out a couple of things and like maybe experiment a little bit and see how that goes. Like try maybe some different comps and such. So yeah, that's I think the main reason. We could have played our comfort and it wouldn't have been nearly as close, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
And with how the results have gone today, it has been revealed you guys will be playing, of course, London. You are London. You'll be playing Enclave in the semi-finals. You guys obviously have the 2-0 head-to-head against them in the regular split. Moving forward into a best of scenario, how do you feel it potentially changes the dynamic? Are you guys, looking at Enclave, considering they've definitely been on a pretty big upswing? Yes, you did play them yesterday, and it was a pretty amusing game, but do you think now with this extra week of preparation and the best of series coming into effect that it might actually have a strong swing on how things may go, or are you still as confident as ever?
No, I'm super confident, especially after yesterday, playing just trying out new things and playing a banger game. I don't think we played particularly well, which makes me even more confident because we still won the game, and I think in the best of series, I think it'll shine even more that we have a lot of different picks or champions in our arsenal and can draft in different ways. And I think without saying too much, I don't think that can be said for many of the other teams going into the last couple of weeks. It was a very different way they approached it, and you can see that through their drafts.
I am very excited to see you guys in a best of. I'm actually starting to see a lot of these teams in a best of, but I think the whole way the game's going to be, the games are going to be is entirely different because of the ability to shift and kind of pivot in the middle of the fights. Well, not the fights, but within the games. So I'm really excited to see that. I can't wait to see you guys play. Congratulations on your win and congratulations on locking second. Good luck in your games, mate, and we'll speak to you soon, all right?
Yeah, see
you later. Oh, so Jamada, time to wind down a little bit. Let's go back into the beginning of the day and work our way through and look at all of our favorite parts from today's action. Feels a long time ago, but we started with Envision getting a win over M&M.
Yeah, and it really set the stakes quite wide open for many teams in the league. Of course, had M&M won this game, it would have been Envision in relegation. Bulldog wouldn't have really had anything to have played for in that final game. And of course, Envision with this win escape relegations. They're unfortunately weren't quite able to push up into playoffs with that win, like what was the case for Bulldog, but avoiding relegation is the big thing. And Barrage, this game, unfortunately for them, Enclave, a little more on the ball. And despite actually picking up this Elder Dragon, this fight, there just wasn't enough lethal damage coming through from the composition that they were running. Thomasco wasn't able to layer out much AoE, and KZ wasn't able to find those final auto attacks to bring down members, and they dropped into Demise. Resolve game, of course, Resolve securing their 14-0 whitewash of the UKLC, and you know, Demise, they gave it their best, and I think draft to draft in this game definitely had the stronger one coming into it, but what can I say? Money moves. The players of Resolve too strong to actually be dealt with, and final game of the day, of course, we just had on our screen, London versus Bulldog. You know, Bulldog, they gave it their all, but unfortunately they will be fighting in the relegation series. London, I think rightfully so, our second place team in the UKLC, looking very strong.
Yeah, definitely looking strong. I'm curious to see how they're going to fare up versus our other teams, though, because I do think our other two teams have been on a bit more of an upward trend. M&M obviously did lock that final spot after that win, and I think out of the 4 teams, they probably look the weakest, but I don't think they look weak. I think that's probably the fairest way to put it.
I don't know. It's weird. We'll get onto it at some point, particularly obviously next week where we talk about the matchups.
Well, why don't we actually look at the final standings and see how everything has fallen here in the UKLC. So at the top of the tables, it is Resolve, 14-0. Second place, London Esports, then Enclave, then M&M. Barrage, unfortunately, will not be making it to the playoffs, as they have been locked in to 5th thanks to their head-to-head. Then Envision behind them, and our 2 teams in relegation are Bulldog and Demise. Bulldog are 7th, so they will get to choose which UKEL team out of the 2 playing through the promotional tournament, which one they want to play up against. So that's how everything falls. I can't believe it's all done. I can't believe we've done 6 weeks of this show. I don't know where the time has gone, but do not panic. Do not panic. There is more UK League of Legends action to come. Let's bring up our playoffs schedule so you can see what the first day is going to be looking like. We'll be starting with London versus Enclave. That is our 2nd and 3rd team. Then our semi-final number 2 is going to be Resolve versus M&M. That first game is actually going to be super, super fun.
Yeah, especially after the Quoting and Voxnay banger game that we had yesterday. I feel like Enclave going to be looking to claim a little bit of vengeance, of course. Weren't able to secure a single win versus London in either round robin, but I think also it's going to be interesting to look at the M&M Resolve game simply because of the storyline throughout the split that we've had, right? Yeah. We had M&M coming in on day 1 versus Resolve and actually looking strong enough despite the mountain high expectations of Resolve, contesting them from start to finish. And then it kind of became a waiting game of, okay, second round robin. Is M&M still going to be strong enough to contest them? Will Resolve have developed far enough to actually put them in their place? And it's exactly what happened. Resolve came in and absolutely dominated M&M, and they weren't really able to actually do much about it in reality. So now getting another shot in playoffs is, of course, we've talked about it during the day. Realistically, teams wanted to avoid this 4th place position so that they can actually make it to the finals or have a stronger shot at making it to finals because of how dominant Resolve look. But
and
it's going to be an interesting...
One thing I do want to quickly highlight, which I didn't mention because I'm an idiot, is when the games start. The games will be starting at different times for our games. Our game number 1 will be starting at 4 o'clock. Complete brain fart there. 4 p.m. is when we'll be starting our first game. Our second game will be due to start about 6:30 p.m. This is English time for all you people who are not watching from the UK.
Just add 1 hour if you're in Europe.
Yeah, add 1 hour if you're in Europe, and if you're in China, Australia, or anywhere else, you're gonna have to do that math. I'm not figuring it out for you. So those games, obviously, that second game might start earlier or later, depending on the outcome of those games. But I mean, why are you only tuning in for the second game? That first one is going to probably be all the way to free. I think it's going to be an incredibly exciting game, so make sure you do tune in for that. And there is still more tiebreaker action. We aren't having tiebreakers here on the UKLC, but the NLC, there are tiebreakers going on, and they will be happening on Tuesday and Thursday this week over on twitch.tv/NLC LOL. So make sure you get your hands on that and watch a little bit more League of Legends action. There's not as much this week as there is normally, but we at least get to feast our eyes on 2 NLC days. Guys, thank you very much for joining us here for the UKLC. It has been an absolute corker of a regular split, and we are really grateful that you guys came and joined us. Jamada, you have killed it, my dude. I'm so happy we've had you on the show. You're looking beautiful. You're doing beautiful. And don't worry, Jamada's not going. We've got him for the finals. So if you don't like him, tough. But if you like him, good. Everyone likes him. I don't know who doesn't like him. He's likable. We're going to end it there. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you on Sunday for the playoffs. See you later.